In the United States, the most crucial air routes for traditional full-service network carriers, or legacy carriers, are those that connect the country's largest cities on the east and west coasts. Los Angeles to New York will be the most commonly cited example, but Boston and San Francisco are other major cities seeing transcontinental services. These routes feature upgraded products, flagship lounges, and greater frequencies and seat capacities. Furthermore, everything from maintenance operations to marketing strategies is optimized with transcontinental travel in mind. This begs the question, why do airlines focus so heavily on coast-to-coast travel? More specifically, what makes the transcontinental aviation market the most valuable in the United States? Let's take a deep dive into this topic for today's video. Getting right to it, there are two big reasons: a large geographical reason and a massive economic reason. Both of these factors acting together help explain why this market is so critical to legacy carriers. The two most valuable air routes in the United States both connect the New York area to major cities in California. In fact, the most valuable service, United Airlines' route from Newark Liberty International Airport to San Francisco International Airport, brought in nearly $700 million in revenue in 2020 alone. Not far behind is American Airlines service from New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport, or JFK, to Los Angeles International Airport, or LAX. This brought in just over $660 million for the carrier. The next two most valuable US routes, Delta's JFK LAX and United's Newark LAX, bring in over $900 million combined. In terms of actual flights, the New York to Los Angeles city pair is a striking example of massive competition, resulting in dozens of flights per day with aircraft both small and large. United operates service between Newark and Los Angeles around 8 times per day on most days. This can see aircraft as large as the Boeing 777-200 and the 787-10. Delta Airlines operates up to 10 flights per day between JFK and Los Angeles, using aircraft as large as the Boeing 767-400 and the Airbus A330-900. American Airlines offers about 9 services a day for this city pair, turning to the Airbus A321 as its prime choice of equipment. JetBlue offers as many as 11 flights per day between JFK and LAX, while also offering up to 4 flights daily from Newark to LAX. Keep in mind that this is just between New York and Los Angeles, and not even including flights out of Boston or Seattle or San Francisco. So let's examine geography. The United States is an incredibly geographically divided nation, with roughly 58% of the population, or 179 million people, residing on the country's east coast. Furthermore, 25% of the population, or roughly 80 million people, reside along the west coast. This shows us that two massive populations within the same country are geographically separated. Indeed, the distance from New York to Los Angeles by air is over 2,400 miles, or nearly 4,000 kilometers. This distance would take around 50 hours of non-stop driving to cover. Between the coasts, you'll find the towering Rocky Mountain Range and the Great Plains, some terrain which can be difficult to traverse depending on the season. And so, with the massive interconnected nature of the United States, it's unsurprising to constantly see massive numbers of people crossing the country to visit friends and family, go to school, conduct business, or go on vacation. With ground transportation taking so much time and money, airlines will naturally look to capture this massive demand. Despite transcontinental routes such as those between New York and California cities proving to be the most lucrative for airlines, it is surprising to see that none of the airports those flights operate at are among the nation's busiest. Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson, Dallas-Fort Worth, Denver International and Chicago O'Hare all sit above Los Angeles International in terms of passenger numbers. Indeed, LAX is only the 5th busiest US airport. It might also interest you to know that the New York-Los Angeles market is only the fourth busiest in the country in terms of passenger numbers. On average, airlines overwhelmingly make more money per passenger with transcontinental flights than on any other kind of domestic US service. Ultimately, this can be attributed to the massive premium demand that exists between these areas of the country. America's newest companies are primarily coming out of West Coast destinations such as Seattle and Silicon Valley. However, the nation's financial centers are still along the eastern seaboard. Thus, the variety of executives, consultants, investors, and others traveling on business relating to some of the country's largest companies will all fly direct across the country, filling premium seats on these routes. Many airlines, such as American, unsurprisingly have flagship products that are only deployed on these flights.
Our new Transcon A321T first class seat. This particular seat is actually 100% direct aisle access and lie flat seats. So this is really a industry leading seat on the transcontinental market.
For example, American Airlines' flagship first transcontinental product can be found on its Boeing 777-300s and A321Ts. This level of service, which also sees fully lie-flat seats with aisle access, can be found on the following routes: LAX JFK, San Francisco JFK, JFK Orange County, LAX Boston, and LAX Miami. Delta Airlines has its Delta One cabin with lie-flat seating, while United has its United Business product. Of course, JetBlue and its fleet of narrow bodies are fitted with the airline's Mint suites on such routes. Timing is also a contributing factor for transcontinental services, as flights will often have durations of around 5 hours. Flights from the West Coast back to the Atlantic coast are the only domestic flights that operate overnight, a situation in which a company would want their employee to have a flatbed seat. Thus, carriers offer fully flatbed business class products on transcontinental routes in far greater numbers, as the demand for such seats is extremely strong. With all of this considered, it's no wonder why airlines will continue to prioritize transcontinental travel due to its unique position for incredibly high premium demand. Have you flown transcontinental across the United States yet? Which airline would be your preference? Share your thoughts by leaving a comment. Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com.